Okay, here we go. Today we're doing Genesis chapter 6. Tamoriel has joined me. No, actually, I've joined Tamoriel because we're at her house. And this ought to be an interesting Bible study because children are playing in the background and occasionally we have a column passing through. So any sort of distraction could happen. All right, here we go. You have to tell me when you're ready.
My book was upside down and backwards, so I know that happened.
Genesis chapter 6. Wow, you got a ton of notes. What are all those notes?
It tells you everything.
It tells you
See
everything.
all this stuff? Mm-hmm. This is the actual part. This is all the
You
explanations.
have more notes than you actually have scripture.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's nice. Where'd you get this from?
Of Dora. Of course, she gave this to me.
It's a study
And
Bible.
this.
Holman Study Bible. All right, cool.
I was like, I'll take it. Okay. All right, sons and God. Sons of God and daughters of men.
Hey, Candace. All right. All right. Now, it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. Okay. I spent a lot of years reading that verse and I didn't have any idea what that was talking about. It feels like, remember in Star Wars, these are not the drones you're looking for? Mm-hmm. That's what I felt like happened every time I read that verse. This is not the sons of God you're looking for. Pay no attention to this verse. Keep moving.
You feel like you skipped over it?
Nothing to see here, citizen. So, the sons of God. If I actually even spoke to the preacher, rabbi guy.
About that?
Yeah. And he said, the sons of God were the sons of Seth. And it was like, really? Because I've heard this story. This is that. This is what the seminaries teach is that the sons of God were the sons of Seth, and the daughters of man were the daughters of Cain, and the sons of Seth and the daughters of Cain got together and created giants. And that's what I said to him when I was talking to him.
How does that work out?
I know. I said, since when
1 plus 1 does not equal 9.
Having sex create giants? That makes no sense.
At best, it would be Mongos.
Right, at best.
At best.
Not giants, exactly. So it was pointed out to me that the best way to figure out what the Bible's talking about when you don't know what it's talking about is to look to see where those expressions are used elsewhere. What does it say on your notes on Genesis verse 1 and 2? Got any
It
notes?
says the first 4 verses of this chapter serve as a transition introducing the account of God's greatest act of nature-based judgment of sinful humanity. Positively, these opening verses demonstrate humanity's faithfulness in fulfilling God's command to multiply on the earth. This brief portion of Genesis is one of the most controversial sections of the entire Bible. Major disagreements surround each of these verses. Careful study of the Hebrew text does not end the debates. If anything, it only sharpens them. The controversies are listed below.
Oh, okay. So now we're going to talk about the sons of Seth.
Yeah, look.
Right. Okay.
Oh,
But the
so it's right
expression-
here, actually, what you were saying.
Right. The term is the B'nai Elohim, sons of God. And the other place where you see the B'nai Elohim, that expression, is Job 38:7. So I'm going to go to Job 38. And it's actually one of my very favoriteest verses.
Favoritist.
Yes.
38?
Right, because we've been reading, if you're reading Job, you read Job for like
Look at this.
37, oh great, 37 chapters where they're going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth about well, God wouldn't do this. You must have done something wrong because God is just, and if your world is turned into crap, then you must have done something to deserve it. And here we get finally verse 38.
Candace is right. Yes, Candace. That's what it was.
Right. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, "Who is this who darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Now prepare yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it? To what were its foundation fastened? Or who laid its cornerstone when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy?" Okay.
You better be scared
B'nai
now.
Elohim, sons of God, shout. These are not the sons of Seth. We are creating the world. There aren't even any people. Okay? These are angels. So this is angels and humans procreating. Case closed. Exactly. Except that it's not closed because they're coming back now, and now they're calling themselves aliens.
The case of the curious giant and the flying machines.
The flying machines. Okay. Sons of God saw that the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. And the Lord said, that's another thing. This is another weird thing right here. And the Lord said, "My spirit shall not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. Now that's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about Noah. That's what we're easing into, is discussing this whole thing with the Noah and the flood. And Shem was one of Noah's kids. And we know that Shem lived 600 years.
Right.
So obviously this 120 years isn't.
See this? It's open.
Okay.
You're awesome. Obviously, this isn't a pronouncement of how long people are going to live.
This is what it says in this one.
You see it's open?
I don't think that's what
it says. It might not be. It says the meaning of this verse is one of the most disputed in the Bible. I guess all the verses are one of the most disputed in the Bible. Is it about God shortening humanity's lifespans, or about God setting a time for the universal flood? There is no general agreement as to its meaning, and so the various Bible translations reflect translators' differing viewpoints accordingly. Disagreement exists among translators regarding the reference to spirit. Some understand the Hebrew word to refer to the animating force present in living beings, thus rendering it spirit. KJV. KJV.
I had a thought. And I don't know if it's valid, and I'm not a Greek or Hebrew scholar or anything like that. But I would like to know.
Anyway, because it says it could be taken figuratively.
Yeah, I don't like to take anything figuratively.
If he would say something just to be figuratively.
Right. And usually what he's talking about,
my spirit will be with you.
Right.
Figuratively. Can you just imagine him saying that? Take what you want from this.
Right, exactly. Read it. Okay, so here's one of the things that I was thinking. Yes, madam.
I'm also doing it a different way, but not like this. I'm doing it a different way.
Okay. All right, so here's what I was thinking. You know that I don't know that this years, 120 years, I don't know if that years is years. Or if it's one of those weird words that translates out of like spaces of time.
Right.
So is it 120 years or is it 120 spaces of time? Because I'm seeing this consistent pattern of 6 days and then the Sabbath, 6 days and then the Sabbath. And with God, a day is like 1,000 years and 1,000 years is like a day. Because if you take 120 and you multiply it times 50 Jubilees.
Okay, do I have a Jubilees button in my calculator?
Well, you do have a calculator, so multiply 120 times 50.
50 Jubilees.
120 Jubilees. 50 is right.
Where's the Jubilees button?
Da, 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 da. 6 days.
She
Here,
done
show
and
the
done it
camera.
now.
Show the camera. Get it, sir? Can you see it? Huh? Yep, there you go, 6,000. Unless it's reversed.
Don't mind that. That's a Jubilee on my phone. I dropped it.
Okay. So I wonder whether this is saying that after 120 Jubilees or 6,000 years, that God's just going to be done letting man run his own life. Party over. Jesus is coming back and he's going to take off.
Did kind of give us enough of a chance.
Really? 6,000 years? Yeah. I would
It's like
say.
saying, I'm going to count to 3. And then you're going to bed.
Right.
Then
Exactly.
you're going to your room.
Right.
TV off.
Right. 6,000 years and you're going to bed. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. And then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And the Lord was, and if something makes you, while you're listening, makes you go, interrupt me, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
And the Lord was sorry, this also bothers me. And the Lord was sorry that he made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. So the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, creeping things and birds of the air, for I am sorry that I have made them.
That's sad.
That is just kind of interesting that God was sorry that he did anything. Anyway.
Well, sometimes when your kid's disappointed, you're like, I wish you were never born.
Or as my father said to my mother, you should have been an abortion. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. This is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations. Noah walked with God. Perfect in his generations doesn't mean that he was well behaved. It means that he was not.
It says
DNA
blameless among his contemporaries.
Yeah, well, that's a moral judgment call, and I believe that this was a perfect in his generations had to do with his DNA, that his DNA wasn't corrupted by interbreeding with the angels. He was probably the only pure human left on the earth.
So because this is a study Bible, they probably interpret a little bit different, right?
And I think that there's actually a concerted effort by the church
To make it that way.
to strip anything weird and supernatural out of the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like the giants.
Like giants and angels having sex with women. And floating axe heads and bringing people back from the dead. And Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. So God looked upon the earth, and indeed it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way on the earth. And God said to Noah, the end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and out with pitch. Mom?
What kind of wood does it go for?
Remember
Like,
you said that you'll give me a candy?
no.
Yes, you said.
Later, I will. I will later.
Go away, Ella. Okay, did you say... No, I don't think anybody knows what gopher wood is like because I don't think we have gopher wood anymore. I think. I don't know. What do your notes say?
What's a gopher wood? Let me see.
I feel like there's still gopher wood.
What?
So I feel like there's still gopher wood. I don't know.
Put it in your hand.
Here, you can have one of these candies.
Give them a candy.
Gopher is a translation of a Hebrew word whose meaning is unknown. Gopher wood may be pine or cypress.
Yeah, they definitely have pine.
See?
It's just the kind of wood the gopher
You going
prefers.
for
That's
your brother
right.
and Aiden?
That's it.
One,
And-
Ella.
Taylor had one.
All right, then one for Aiden. When did he have it?
He had it.
When we got home?
No, right when he
That's an interesting getup you got there, kiddo.
He's filming with the phone attached to his face like it's third person or first person,
Yeah?
making a video.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's like a video game.
Okay.
So he attaches the phone to his face. Did you hear?
Can he see through it? Is he looking at the
okay, one-
screen, or
one
is
of
he
these-
He's
just
watching
blinding
the
himself?
screen. He's watching this camera screen
I see.
and
Look.
using that to see
Okay.
what's right in front of it.
look,
I see.
look.
Here,
Hey,
hey, Taylor,
Taylor.
come over here.
Taylor, come here.
Come here. Let me look at you.
No, put that on. We want to show
Let me see
everybody
this getup.
on the.
So, did you arrange this yourself?
Thanks,
Is
Becky.
this something
Here, put it on.
that you created?
Come on,
With a-
Facebook Live. Show everybody what you're doing. He tied it with a shoestring into this
To a
helmet,
bicycle helmet.
bicycle helmet, and now he
You
has
are
a
you are
camera on
losing.
his face.
Dude, that is ingenious. That is so smart. You're an inventor. I'm impressed. Get in touch with Apple. See? Google Glasses failed.
Don't talk to Apple. They'll try and steal his idea without seeing it.
They would
You're
steal
like,
his idea.
you're a genius. I'm okay.
Go give it away to somebody.
Okay.
Okay. All right, here we are. And this is how you shall make it, the ark. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. And a cubit is 18 inches?
Yeah, it says cubits. A cubit being the length from a person's elbow to the end of the fully extended middle finger, about 18 inches. Well, my cubit is longer than your cubit. How
That's
how
true.
big was Noah's cubit? I mean, this is a
Don't
good
know.
cubit. That's a big bow. I'm not gonna flip anybody off, but let's not go there.
Right. Okay. And I heard that if you actually try to lay this thing out, 300 cubits by 50 cubits, you better use a mall parking lot. The sucker is humongous. We're not talking about
So, like, count 450 cubits.
I wonder if it's equivalent to a cruise ship. I'd have to look. You'd have to do the math. All right. You shall make a window for the ark, and you shall finish it to a cubit from above, and set the door of the ark in its side. You shall make it with lower, second, and third decks. And behold, I myself am bringing floodwaters on the earth to destroy from under heaven all flesh in which is the breath of life. Everything that is on the earth shall die.
So that's how big, approximately.
Feet?
No,
Huh?
450.
What'd you do? 300 times 18?
18 inches.
Okay, so divide that by 12. 675 feet long. 675 feet long. makes sense.
Oh, I have a
Yeah.
picture.
Does that make sense? All right. I'll do the math later. Anyway.
Jeez.
But I will
Tell me what
establish
you
my
do now.
covenant with you, and you shall go into the ark, you and your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. And of every living thing of all flesh you shall bring 2 of every sort into the ark, and keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female. Of the birds after their kind, of the animals after their kind, and every creeping thing of the earth after its kind. 2 of every kind will come to you to keep them alive. And you shall take for yourself of all food that is eaten, and you shall gather it to yourself, and it shall be food for you and for them. Thus Noah did according to all that God commanded him, so he did. And that's the end of chapter 6.
Look what this says here. It says, a reconstruction of the ark Noah built. The dimensions of the ark made it eminently seaworthy. Vessel in the Epic of Gilgamesh, an account of a flood that has some parallels to Noah's, is a cue. Such a vessel would have rolled over at the slightest disturbance. What? Are they saying no or yes or? I'm not understanding that.
Oh, what they're saying is that there's also a vessel described in the Epic of Gilgamesh that would not have been seaworthy.
Oh.
It would have, but this one would have been seaworthy, except that it was a box. You know, everybody always portrays it as a ship. It was not a ship. It was a box. It was a box. It was a box. This wide, 3 decks, this high.
It was a
Didn't
giant
say
box?
anything about there being the ability to steer or
Right, but
fore
this,
and yeah, no, that's
like this is a floating
yeah, that looks like a
vessel, but it's more rounded than a box.
right, which means it's not accurate.
Really?
It was really nothing more than a box. It was a floating box.
Just to keep
But they weren't
everybody
going
floating.
anywhere. It's not like they were going to have to steer it, you know.
They had to be alive.
Just get in the box.
I don't know if I'm gonna be getting in the box.
I have thought a lot about what it would be like to, because they were in that box for like close to a year. Can you imagine how uncomfortable it might have been? I mean, I've been on a cruise ship for a week,
And that's
Not having fun.
That's comfort.
I know.
They got free ice cream on
I know.
the ark.
I know. No free ice cream on the ark.
You gotta make it yourself.
All right, well, that's it for today. Thank you for visiting, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.